Hi everyone, welcome to this short flip learning video. It's focusing upon the conclusion and introduction sections. The reason why I've chosen to combine the two is because in the past I know that students have progressed at different speeds, different rates, and I don't want to by any means hold anyone back who wants to get started on both the various chapters. Alright. Before you watch a video or after you watch a video, I would like you to make sure you read the research handbook with relevant pages. It's about a page and a half of information in total before you come to class and we start writing the conclusion chapter and the introduction chapter. So nice and simple for the conclusion section, 6 main areas that you need to include. It is the second distinction part of your work as well. So you've really got to make sure you go into detail and you thoroughly explain your strengths, limitations, areas for improvement, and that you really justify your recommendations for future research. So don't just give me a couple of sentences, because that's really not going to get you a distinction. It's by no means quantity over quality, but a couple of sentences isn't really going to get you the higher grade. So first of all, what has your research shown? What has it indicated? You'll probably summarise this in your discussion chapter and talked about it at length. Just talk about it briefly, introduce it, what are the key main points. What were the strengths of your study? This is again another opportunity to really sell your study, so make sure you go into detail here. Then you need to tell us why the study is useful to other people. So might be sports coaches, it might be sport and exercise science practitioners, it might be physiotherapy, sports masseuse, whoever your study may be useful to or you think it could be useful to, write a little bit about this as well. Remember, you've got 1,000 words for this section, so you really got to try and work out what are the most important aspects of the section itself. Again, I think it's probably looking at the strengths, limitations, areas for improvement, and recommendations, but you need to include all 6. So, on to limitations. Is there any barriers that you had to overcome? Now, I know, again, you may have spoken about them briefly in your discussion chapter, but can we just speak about them again? So, were you unable to visit a certain group, or visit a 3rd, 4th, 5th group, so you only can include 2 groups within your sample, for whatever reason? Did any weather conditions, any environmental factors affect the nature of your research? Whatever this may be, try and speak about it at length here. Now, areas for improvement are based upon your own performance, not the results of a study. So anything, for example, were you not so very good at your interviewing technique? Were you not very prepared for your focus groups? Was the questionnaire that you constructed not up to scratch? Did it not meet or answer the research questions? Were some of the questions a little bit wayward? Anything that you think you could have improved upon, again, speak about this here. Recommendations for future research. Now this is, again, as I spoke about at the start, the main distinction part of your work. This is where you need to recommend what future researchers, future scholars, future academics, future students should do in order to advance your study, or to advance the area which your study is focusing upon. This could be, again, to use another sample group and conduct a comparative study opposed to a case study. Could it be to look at different areas of the country to see if the results are generalisable? Could it be to consider gender factors, ethnicity factors? Could you look at social class? Could you look at breaking down who you're actually using your sample itself and applying that to a different population? Finally, make sure it's written in 3rd person if possible. I know some of you may prefer to write this in 1st person. That's okay, that's fine. It's probably going to be more academic if it's written in the 3rd person though. And as always, make sure you've looked at the handbook. So then, the introduction chapter refers to page 4 of your module handbook, and it's roughly about 400 words that I'm looking for. It is the first major chapter of your research project, and it always comes at the start. However, I get students to write the introduction chapters last. I always have done, and I always write my own assignments or anything that I'm writing in the same manner too. It's a skill that I'll probably advise when you go to university as well, but you probably find your own method what you're most comfortable with. The reason why this is the case is because how can you write an introduction chapter before knowing what you've actually written in the rest of the report or the project? That's why I tend to get students to write the introduction last. You need to be clear and concise with this part. You need to have a good opening sentence, and then you need to start talking about what the purpose is. So, what are the impacts and who's it going to benefit? Make sure you have a rationale for your study, a justification, so your reasoning for why you're doing your study itself. Include some aims and objectives. These will be what you've perhaps used in your research proposal, assignment 1 this year. And then you're going to be looking at giving some background information to the study itself, and then providing an overview of the nature of the research project. So you first of all you have introduction, lit review, methodology, results if applicable, discussion and conclusion. The final part of the introduction as well should have a bridging sentence to the literature review. The best studies will be the ones that are able to do this. If you've got any more questions, write them down and bring them to the next lesson. Other than that, thank you for listening.